Hi, I'm Heidi Billotto, host of Charlotte Living's Culinary Online, and today we're cooking local with local grass-fed beef from Profit Family Farms in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. I love Profit Farms. I teach a lot of cooking classes out there, and they are in fact the only cattle ranch in the state of North Carolina to have grass-fed beef that is raised on certified organic pasture. So it makes it extra special and extra delicious. We're going to start this recipe for a caramelized onion, Parmesan, and beef tart with our caramelized onions. So you'll see that I was just slicing them up when you joined us. And what I do when I slice an onion is to cut off the top of the onion and then peel back all the peeling, just like a banana. That way I don't cut off the root end. And the reason I don't cut it off is that most of the oil of the onion is in the root end. And it's the oil of the onion that has a chemical reaction with the oxygen around us, and that's what makes you cry. So don't cut off the root end and you'll be able to slice a whole onion without crying. Because sweet onions, either Vidalia or onions from Washington State or any kind of local sweet onion, are sometimes flying saucer shaped and they don't always stand up straight, they're a little wobbly. You need to remember that you are smarter than the food. You're just going to cut off a flat place at the bottom of the onion here, just right here, and now it has a place to stand up straight so it's not going to wobble and you can slice it more easily. So we'll cut a couple more slices, thin slices. We're going to put them in a bowl, we're going to break them up, and we're going to go over to our stove top and put them in a pot with a little bit of melted butter. Come on. So the melted butter's on. I'm going to turn our burner on. I didn't want the butter to burn. And then we're just going to add the onions. And as you add them, sort of break them up into onion rings. The key to cooking caramelized onions is to do it over low, slow heat. So we're starting on a high heat here, a medium-high heat, and then we're going to slowly let it cook. As soon as it gets hot and sizzly, we're going to turn it down to medium. And then we're going to just slowly turn the onions with a pair of tongs until they go from this white, pristine color that they are when they're fresh to a caramelized, beautiful, dark brown color. And then they're ready to use. So I've got some already done. We'll move our raw onion out of the way here. And here are a few little caramelized onions that I did earlier. Now what I do is I caramelize a whole big batch of them and then put them in a Tupperware or a freezer container and put them right in the freezer. Then you always have caramelized onions on hand. So that's one of our ingredients in the tart. For the shell of the tart, we're going to use a ready-made pie crust because it's easy and it's good. If you want to make your own pie crust, that's great. But these are refrigerated pie crusts. Got a piece of parchment paper here, and that's going to help us roll it out. And I'm just going to unroll the dough that comes rolled out. You want to keep it refrigerated until you're ready to work with it, because if you let it sit at room temperature too long, it gets soft, and then it's hard to unroll. We want to roll it out a little bit thinner than it is right out of the package. So we're going to take a rolling pin, start in the center of the dough, and roll forward, and then go back to the center and roll back. Now here's where your parchment paper comes in great. You can just give that dough a little quarter of a turn. It's easy to work with, nothing sticking to my work surface. And we'll do the same thing, roll forward and then roll back. Now, the pan that we're going to use is a false bottomed French tart pan. So here's what happens. It comes apart and makes it real easy to get your tart out of the oven. We're going to put it back together, back on our cookie sheet, and transfer our pastry dough into the tart pan. So to do that, we're going to fold the dough in half and then in half again so that we have a quarter round of dough. Take the point of the dough, put it right in the center of the pan, and then unfold it. And your dough is perfectly centered in your pan, and you can do this with a small pan or a larger pan as well. Take your knuckle and just press the pastry dough into the edge of the pan. And as you're doing that, you'll notice I'm kind of lifting up on the dough, and that's going to get rid of any little air bubbles that are in there. Take our rolling pin, roll over the top, and you get a perfect edge. Now, as I was pressing the dough into the pan, I got a little crack in the dough. So can you see that right there? So easy to fix. Don't panic at all. Just take a little piece of your dough. Refrigerator dough is like working with Play-Doh. Just put it in and press it on. and it fixes that little crack, and no one will ever know the difference. So you're ready to go. That goes on our cookie sheet. Get rid of our little dough here, and now we're ready to fill it. We're going to take our ground beef. This is ground beef from Profit Family Farms. Just brown it. Now, here's an interesting thing. Local beef, local chicken, local duck, local lamb, all of it cooks a little bit faster than any commercially made product. So just keep that in mind. It's going to brown faster than commercially raised ground beef. On top of that is going to go our onions. Unclump them here. And then we're going to add a little sprinkling of Parmesan cheese to the top of that. But first we're going to mix up our custard. So that is about a cup, a half a cup, depends on how big your pan is, of heavy cream or half and half, and a couple of local eggs. Now look at these local eggs. Aren't they beautiful? So special, so delicious. They're different colors because they're laid by different colors of chickens, and that's the only difference in them. So we get them at the farmer's market, or you can get them from your local farmer. We're going to take a couple of eggs, just crack them right into our cream or half and half mixture, and whisk those up. So this is a really creamy custard, but the eggs are going to help to hold it all together. There we go. And this gets poured over the top. Perfect. And then we're going to top it with some cheese. Grated Parmigiano-Reggiano. So I grate this up ahead of time and put it in a plastic bag and keep it in my freezer. Then I always have grated cheese on hand. Goes right on the top, and you can use as much as you want. I wouldn't skimp on the cheese. Then this is going to go in a 350-degree oven for about 30 or 40 minutes. You want the top to be nice and browned and sizzling. So let's put it in now. And you'll notice that I put my false bottom pan on a cookie sheet. That way I won't accidentally grab the pan up from underneath and have it separate. There we go. In about 30 minutes, it's going to smell wonderful in here. So once the tart is out of the oven and is cooled to where you can touch the pan, the trick is getting it out of the pan, but it's real easy. Not such a trick after all. We're going to take a container. We can use the little container that I had the onions in. Something smaller than the pan. Put it right in the center, and then look what happens. It drops right off. Easy as pie, or easy as a tart. And then it's ready to serve. Once this is cooled completely, you can get it off the bottom, but don't try to do that when it's hot. It's just too hard to do. Put it on a pie plate or a cake stand. Let's see, we'll put that guy right here. And it's ready to serve. Hope you enjoy it. I'm Heidi Billotto for Charlotte Living's Culinary Online.